Once again, we have the Robin's Wolf music, which has always sounded to me kind of like a death knell, which is why I titled the edited piece of music that I did here as death knell. Especially you'll hear it near the end of Grandmother's House. Boy, look at all that ground we covered. Jeez. Alright. Hello, Mr. Wolf. You see that occasionally he kind of kneels down and kind of looks over his shoulder as if saying, you know, hop on, take a ride. Come on. You have to wait, of course, till he shows up in the field of view. Ah! Of course, now that I want to do it, he's not going to let me. Come on. There we go. And so we had a little bit hit from slowdown in that scene. Like I mentioned before, I'll make some more graphics tweaks to see if it'll flow a little bit better in the future. But that was what is known as the Ravaging, that cutscene, because Robin encountered the wolf, and you can see now that it's raining. You could perhaps see this as a sign of baptism or transition, having all of this water imagery here with the rain. Something happened to her which was traumatic and in some sense made her grow up a little bit. You can see that her hood has been cast down, and she's almost looks like she's the Walking Dead at this point. You know, she's got that kind of... You can see that her eyes are kind of drooped, her shoulders are slumped. In a way, you know, if this represents her old self, it's pretty much been killed. And now we're going to head off to Grandmother's house. You can see it forming there in the distance. Now this is one of those parts in the game that even I get a little annoyed with, and that is that you can, like in the attractions, you cannot run at this point, and you get placed so far away from Grandma's house it takes a good amount of time for you to just slowly walk over here. And nothing else really much happens, it's just the rain. Fortunately, though, for every chapter you complete, after the ravishing by the wolf, you will be placed closer to the fence here, so that you don't have to spend quite as much time walking. And of course, our friend here, Mr. Slowdown, is not making this walk any faster. My guess is that things will probably run a little bit smoother once we get into Grandmother's house. I'm using fraps, by the way, if anyone has any suggestions as to how to make it move a little bit more smoothly, or if it's just a matter of tweaking the graphics down a few notches. So Robin opens the gate. She heads towards Grandmother's house, and as soon as you get to the point where she opens the gate, she goes on automatic pilot. And again at the same speed. So at this point, you have to just sit here and watch it. Like I said, not my favorite part of the game. I think this could have been done a little bit faster. Even given the overall feel of the game being one where you're supposed to be slow down most of the time. This, I think, is a little bit on the excessive side for my tastes. Let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. I think it'd be cooler if there were 6, but anyway. That would just be me wanting to overanalyze everything. You're tempted to do it sometimes with a game like this. Alright, we're finally in Grandmother's house. This is the final part of each chapter. And unlike before, which was free exploration, this part of the game is essentially a rail shooter without actually any guns. You're on a fixed track, and you can see it's a little interesting in that it's reversed, where before, if we hurried and we ran, the screen would go dark and we wouldn't be able to see as much. Here, if you stand still too long, the screen grows dark. So it's a little bit of a turnaround once you get to this part of the game. So you can see now that we're moving, it's a little better. You see there's a TV on the wall, although most of the area is smashed. The first 2 rooms of Grandmother's house for each girl are always the same. It's the living room and the kitchen. So you got sink and the fridge, although the fridge is not always closed. It depends on the girl. Here we see that the doors all have claw marks on them, as if the werewolf has been here and is really wanting to get into the doors. Or you could also say it's symbolic of the fact that Robin, in either a literal or figurative sense, was torn apart with vicious claws. You see the ground is scratched up. The specific path you take through the house will depend on how many secret rooms you've unlocked. Here we've unlocked all of them, and so we take this route. And I'll be doing that for all of the girls, because it makes for the longest end game, basically. You can see the shadow. It's a nice little touch. We are Robin actually moving through here. Here we are in the attic. You can see here is the cradle room that we saw earlier, and there's a bird's nest inside. But it's upside down, which is kind of freaky. There's a rocking chair up there. I don't know how to interpret that. I mean, the cradle is a symbol of childhood, which is something that Robin really wanted to, or really espoused, I should say. Here's the birthday imagery with 5 chairs, so those would be her 5 sisters, along with presents and the 5 balloons. There you see the moon off to the left, symbolic of the werewolf. A cake with 3 candles, 2 red and 1 black that's lit. I'm not sure how to interpret that one. Wallpaper with the peacock feather motif. And there's always a final corridor, which is also slightly different for each girl. This is Robin's final corridor. You can see it's kind of ethereal looking outside. And finally, the bedroom, which is the end room of all the girls. You can see here, there's a bed that's been tilted up and looks like a window almost. And it's not like a window, I'm sorry. I should say like a grave. So the bed is tilted up like a grave, and you can see that the window pane there over the moon looks like a cross. So, and then you see the hole in front of it. So it's basically a grave. And then you hear the death knells ringing. So Robin is entering a grave here. End of Chapter 1. Items collected, 11 out of 14. As you recall, we couldn't get those other 3 to work. Special rooms unlocked, 3 out of 3. Distance traveled, just over 4.5 kilometers. Wolf encountered, yes. Success. Rank B. You have found the old cemetery. So this is the end screen that you'll always get for each chapter. So, like I said, I was going to do the analysis for each girl, and I'll do that at this point for Robin. You could see the images that flashed at the very end were basically images of Robin, the werewolf, and pictures of her face or her body being slashed with claw marks. So if you interpreted this chapter from a narrative point of view, it would be that Robin, I think, strayed off into the woods, and she encountered basically a werewolf, or a kind of some form of anthropomorphic wolf. And having no sense of danger, she approached it and got mauled. And that pretty much ended her. From an analytical point of view, I would say that Robin's story is growing up by learning that things can hurt you in the world. When we're born, little children do not have a sense of what could be dangerous for them, and it's up to their parents to really teach them, you know, don't run into the street because you'll get hit by a car. They don't have a sense of you know, what could be potentially painful or even deadly. And we got that sense through Robin's reactions to things like the needle, with the drugs, and the shopping cart, and all that kind of stuff. So, in the end, I think what the grandmother's house represents for Robin is recognizing that things are dangerous, you know, attaining a fear of death, basically. And hopefully Robin will be a little bit more wise in the future when encountering things that could be potentially deadly. So that's Robin's story, and we will now move on to the next sister. So after a chapter is over, as you can see, it brings you right back to the red room. And you can see that because we successfully encountered the wolf, Robin is no longer here. All that's left is her little car. So if you're thinking in story terms, Robin has now been devoured. and next up it's going to be Rose's turn. So when we start up the Let's Play again, we will play through Rose, and hopefully things should go a little bit faster and a little bit more smoother. Until then, take care, guys.